It is your instant reaction for Fulham nil, Everton nil. Everton going to the capital with one midfielder, half a team, and getting a point. But that does not tell the full story of the football match. Joining me to go through it all are Les Roberts. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, Dave Downey joins us from the 1950s in black and white to reflect on this game in a bit more detail. Les, I would have loved the point before the game when I seen that team. I would have loved the point midway through that second half when we were getting battered with Fulham corners. But there were times I think Everton could have won it as well. We had a ridiculous penalty not given. But I think I'm content with that, which is weird to say after we've gone into the bottom three. But I think I'm on the side of that's all right.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's like, I think before the game, especially seeing that team, it would have been, yeah, I'll take a point all day there. And to keep clean sheets as well, that can't be underestimated. I think that's is that the eighth this season, I think? It's a lot anyway. Um, but yeah, like actually watching the game, it's mad that it finished 0-0 for a start. I mean, there was that one brilliant save from Pickford off the header in the second half. But as you say, Everton could have easily won that game towards the end, which we'll come on to later, I'm sure. But I think looking at it sort of quite objectively, you've got to say it's two games without defeat now, two clean sheets. We're not scoring, but we always knew that was a problem. So can't really be too despondent about that. Even though, as you say, we drop into the bottom three. Um, it's it's not a bad point. I think that would have been, if Fulham would have won that, that would have been three defeats on the spin to them, which they've never done. Um, we've not got a great record down at Craven Cottage either. So I think if you look at it sort of in isolation, it's a decent point. Yeah, can't be too despondent, but just a weird game, just a really, really mad game with a lot of talking points for a 0-0.
Dave, how do you feel after that?
Yeah, completely disagree with Les. I'm absolutely fuming about that. I am fuming about that because I thought 3 points were there for the taking. I thought it was a poor game. You're looking at, and I mentioned in earlier this week, Les, on Monday Blues, Blue Mondays, whichever you want to call it at the moment. I was saying to you, Les, about Fulham being a really good side here, and I think that's why it justifies what you're saying there because Silva's done really well with them. You look at what they did against Liverpool. They've given some hammers to lesser sides in the league as well. Then you won a couple of matches 5-0. They've ripped a few teams apart. So from that point of view, look, I didn't think going to Fulham and not losing. And I said that bite hands off. I would take your hand off to get a point there. The thing why I'm really angry about it is I didn't think they gave as good as what I thought they would. And I thought that we wouldn't have needed much more to go and win that game. I think aside from that outstanding save that Pickford makes, I couldn't see much else from Fulham. And then, yeah, I mean, the context of it is those two chances that Beto missed there made me cry because they were appalling, absolutely appalling. And it looked to me, and it's hindsight there, but it looked to me like a 1-0 game all over the place if anybody's going to go and win it. And I thought we would have had the tools to go and do it. That's not to say I thought we played well. I thought it looked like a side that it couldn't score. We couldn't score a goal if that was played for 3 days without stopping. Not least because Beto can't, hit the ball properly, let alone hit the goal. And you've got nobody else really who comes in and sorts that out. Defensively, thought Tarkowski and Branthwaite were fine, which has never been an issue for us. It's actually going up the other end and doing something about it. And you look at who played again. Harrison seems like a standard performance for him every single week. He's so predictable that you can give him a 5 or 6 out of 10 at best. And then you look on the other side with Dan Zuma. Lad doesn't look like he firstly doesn't want to be here, but secondly, I don't think he's got the quality you need to get what we require at the moment. And then having Onana out was a miss as well. So I mean, yeah, going back to what you said, it sounds a little bit contradictory there, but like Les says there, I mean, if you take away where we actually are in the league and we've actually gone into the bottom three, given what Luton have done, I probably wouldn't be saying that I was fuming with this because that'd be a decent point. Fact of the matter is, we're in the bottom three. The team above us have got a game in hand.
I don't I don't think we played well tonight, but I don't know if you can big Fulham up loads before the game, and then we go there with one midfielder and we get a point, and then say, "Oh, actually, I'm fuming with that." Like you can't
No,
retrospectively
I'm
change your
talking
mind
about
on whether you take a point or not. Like that's not in the rules. Yeah, you can't
no.
like you've got to give us a bit of a credit for like me. This team you said was so good before the game, and like oh, they battered everyone or whatever, and now it's finished and we didn't get a win. It's like oh, actually, I've changed my mind. Now they're crap.
Well, no, I've worded this completely wrong. For you to say what you said there is absolutely giving me a beating. What you just said, but what I mean by that is just the context of the game. It's like you can go to pick any top team. You can go to Manchester City and play like we did today and think, oh, do you know what? We really should have won that 1-0, despite the fact you're playing against a top class side. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but that's the point that I'm making against Fulham, who, again, which I said to Les on Monday yesterday, I would bite your hand off for a point of Fulham. I just felt with the game and the way it was and the way Fulham, I think Silva will be in the changing rooms right now with Fulham fuming that they didn't win that game themselves and they didn't play any better than what you'd expect, what his standards are. Whilst these are Fulham this season, I think they're a good team to watch as well. Aside from playing them today, that I hope that explains a little bit better than
I
what
think
you've said there.
I think I can sort of see where you're coming from in the fact that we had the chances to win that game. Like not even just like, half chances, genuine chances to win that game. And that sort of leaves you thinking we should have come away with 3 points there. If you look at the league table, I think Fulham are 12th on 25 points. I don't want to go into the points deduction and all that, but with that 10 points back, we're above Fulham. So they're a team who are probably on about the same level as this Everton team at the minute. We've played them 3 times. We battered them at Goodison, but they beat us 1-0. We couldn't score. The cup game was horrible. Both teams should have just got knocked out the cup for that game, but it finished 0-0. And then today it was a close game. So you can see we probably are a mid-table team, which is quite. I mean, after we got accused of doing a bit of a hatchet job on Dice on Monday, but I don't think we did. But
It was
if you
terrible
look
of
at
that lads, by the way, awful.
it was awful, wasn't it? So negative. But if you look at the team we put out tonight, and you look at the team we've got in comparison to Fulham, who are having a good season, and people say Marco Silva's doing a good job with them, we're probably on a par with them, which is mad because we're not very good.
Yeah,
It's just I said this I think it was on Twitter people were saying I was sort of contradicting myself and being a bit too harsh on Dice. It's because I can't really get my head around him or this Everton team. I don't know what I think about them. Tonight it was a good performance with a really patched up team, but I just don't know where this team fits in the league. What I think of the manager, what I think of the team. It's just dead weird, and I can't get my head around it.
I think like both teams are very similar levels, and they've got very similar issues, but they sort of get there in a different way. If you know what I mean? Like they're all about possession and building, and trying to press high. We're obviously a bit more on the counter attack, trying to play from set pieces and whatever. But fundamentally, both teams, the problems are that they've got two terrible strikers. Like Jimenez was hooked at half time for them, wasn't he? Because he was awful. And then they brought that Muniz on who missed an absolute sitter at the end, didn't he? Don missed a
Oh,
couple of big chances for us, and then Beto comes on and misses like they're probably two teams that will be like comfortably in mid-table, really, if they had a really good centre forward. But neither of them have got them. But I don't know. Like I think it's one of them. I think the context of the game for me, and he's talking about Fulham there and how they played and whether they'll be annoyed or not. But I think Everton have got one central midfielder in the squad. And I think that, and again, I'm not sat here saying we overcame that issue amazingly and played brilliantly well, but you've got players there who looked absolutely out on their arse at the end, who were really poor at the weekend. And listen, I think for 60 minutes we were all right. I think we were in the game. It always looked like we'd get forward and create a chance to nick it. And then obviously the fatigue came in a little bit and then they started to take over towards the end. But I mean, to go away anywhere in the league with one midfielder, you're playing what, four wingers? a striker, and and then let's not forget as well, Ben Godfrey's coming to the team from nowhere. We've not seen him, have we, since Boxing Day? And he came in a decent game. I think it's just fine, and like it's one of those, if you can take it out of the context of the 10 point deduction, and it's just a normal season, you look at it and go, well, yeah, it's just a draw. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's a draw at a team that are about as good as we are, and we just move on. But it probably feels a bit worse for two reasons. One is that Luton have just absolutely smashed Brighton and have moved above us, and the other one for me is that we've somehow not got a penalty again for one of the maddest decisions and maddest explanations I've seen. So I think that's where like it's one of those matches, and I think away games do this to you a lot more than home games. They where you're so conflicted about what you think and what you feel about it. And I just think, yeah, I think after that big ramble, I think I'm just again going to settle. And I think we were just all right. And I think in the circumstances, it was just an all right point, and I'm happy to just move on from it.
do we go into VAR and the penalty now then?
Well, I
Because
thought Dave was going to jump in there. Sorry.
No, I am going to jump in there. I was just trying to think how I worded it, because the first one where you ripped me apart was probably accurate, really, what I said.
It doesn't matter how you word it, you'll still get shit for it. So just go for it.
That's true, mate. I've sort of become immune because of Matt.
No, it's just like
No, because Matt's sort of been my counsellor for what I'm saying
it's
for the
very, it's
last.
very, it's very easy. It's like I did get what you were saying, but it's like you've got to give us a bit of. They are a decent side at home, and you've got to give us a bit of credit. Like, listen, we conceded loads of chances tonight, didn't we? So it wasn't like a defensive masterclass by any means, but they stuck at it and they carried on going, and it was not pretty and it was not good. But they hung in there against the team that I've got talent and I've got physicality and I've got a lot of energy. So I think to say, oh my God, it was nowhere near as bad as Saturday. My God, it was nowhere near on that level. It was a significant improvement with one central midfielder on the pitch.
I'm
Um,
not. I'm certainly not denying the fact that everybody's trying as hard as they can. There's no question about that. Even Beto, who can't run properly, I mean, he even tries his best. Um, maybe I'm just looking at the context of this in regards to us finally dropping into the bottom three, and you've got a team above you by a point who've got a game in hand. Maybe that's what's frightening me a little bit more than the actual performance itself, granted. Um, but and what you referred to there, the positive side of things is defensively. You're drawing against Villa at home, drawing away at Fulham, who I've just decided to say like a top four side. We've done really well in getting those, not conceding goals against two sides there. That's a big positive for us to take forward. It's the rest of it that's so it hurts, doesn't it? I say it hurts, probably the wrong word to use again. It's sort of like it's so frustrating when you see we can't score a goal. And we mentioned those misses from Beto at the end. I've no idea about the second one because he stands in the way of, I think it was Tarkovsky, wasn't it? I think Les, you put that in our WhatsApp group, didn't you, what he went and did? But before
Godfrey.
that, Calvert-Lewin's miss, where that header hits the top of the crossbar, he's about a yard out. That, in a nutshell, seems to define what he is now. I hope it's not like that going forward. We had a deep discussion about this on Monday, if anybody wants to listen about it. And we have done the last week or so about does he ever come back to what he was? That evidence there shows you exactly why he's either lacking confidence or he's just not the player we all thought he was going to be. With that in mind, subs he puts on as well, which has been a big topic that we've spoken about too. I don't know what you guys thought of that, the way in which I mean, I know we haven't got much to throw on there, but I don't know what you thought on that, Les, about the way you work the subs.
I don't know. I thought it was. I expected it. I think that the better will come on for Calvert-Lewin. Did he come on for Calvert-Lewin? I was kind of half watching the game at that point.
Didn't know he was on the
Uh,
pitch. Obviously, didn't know he was on the pitch, to be honest, mate.
yeah, no, yeah. I expected that. He doesn't. He's not one to really change the shape as it goes, and I don't think he needed to change the shape really. And I just thought it was inevitable that after Calvert-Lewin had his chances and didn't take them, Beto was going to come on. Just to go back to the penalty, Matt, I am convinced, right, if that hits his hand and goes in, you give the penalty. But it hit his hand and got cleared off the line, so he didn't.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just another really shit decision, isn't it?
It's
And
staggering. I
how
think
on earth they have justified that by saying his arm was by his body. Well, it's attached to his body. So yeah, of course it's by his body. But bloody hell,
No,
It was
I think they said it's by his side, Les. That was the actual. So it was Joe Thomas who emailed the Premier League. And he obviously put on Twitter, didn't he, that the reason was that his arm was by his side, which was why he wasn't given. And I think after Joe filed this piece and it went up on the site, the Premier League, a bit like Dave, actually retrospectively got back to Joe and said, "Well, actually, no, it wasn't just for that. It was because it was deemed accidental as well." So they've come back a couple of times to change the
like,
story a little bit.
I was a handball. Like,
Just changing the story after the event, aren't they, Dave?
as ever, are they then saying that Onana's against Man City was deliberate?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
the thing is, with
that
every
was
decision
a natural move, wasn't it? What he did is trying to protect himself. That's why that shouldn't have been given whatsoever. What you referred
it's
to
like,
tonight there is, and do you know what? When I saw it happen, I was thinking one of the excuses they might come out with there is he's not expecting it to come back off the crossbar to hit him in the hand. Some shit like that will be probably the excuse that they come out with there. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. To sort of throw towards the pair of you remember the games you refer to where we just about stayed up, like at Bolton when that happened, when we should have conceded the penalty. You think of those various occasions where if it hadn't gone our way, we probably would have gone down. This seems to happen, and it shows you it's evidence of how bad VAR is. These sorts of things happen on a weekly basis. So we're sat here at the end of the season talking about those sorts of fine margins. They're not fine margins anymore. The huge margins. The reason why these things are happening all the time. It's every single game, and no doubt about it. What you said in the group, Les, if that's there's agendas against certain teams, there's no doubt about that. I completely agree with what you said there. And look, anyone else, I think you're a massive cynic when you're talking about this sort of thing. But my word, how many times has this happened to us now that it's getting in a situation where you think, what's the point anymore? And he's still the only side in the league. We haven't had the pen, aren't we?
Yeah.
yeah, and it does like the thing that does my head then is it's just so obvious. It's like, why would you not give that? It was just a really, really obvious penalty. Probably easier to just give it, and they still don't. I just find it so weird. I don't want to go into conspiracy territory because I don't think it is, but I don't know what it is because it's just really, really weird. The decisions like that aren't given because it's the easiest thing to do and nobody would argue with it. If VAR comes back and gives that penalty, no one's arguing with that and saying, "Oh, that was harsh." They're just not.
It's not like it's a shot that's like smashed off the bar onto his arm either. Like it's sort of looped up onto the bar, hasn't it? And then it's bounced off like as well. And like I don't even know if is that if anyone's watching this or listening to this who's a referee and like knows that this is a rule, like is that it's not the same as the ball deflecting off someone onto your arm, is it? It's like that's like an object on the pitch. It's not like, do you know what I mean? Like it's not like someone's had a shot, it's flicked off him, like and it's gone in like a mad angle, and all of a sudden it's hit him. And it's like there's nothing you could do about that. Like it's hit the bar at a relatively slow pace. It's bounced back off the bar at a relatively slow pace, and his arms like stretch miles out, isn't it? It's like he's trying to. It's like Michael Keane's at Anfield, where he's trying to flag the bus down, isn't it? Like his arms, and like the Keane one at Anfield, like
Yeah.
he was close to the player crossing it, but because his arm was so far out, everyone was like, "Well, yeah, that's a penalty," because his arm is
It's exactly.
miles away from his body. Like, why is that one not? And the other thing as well, by the way, how quick was the check? Like it was over in about like 10, 15 seconds. And you think like, right, if that is someone with the arm out in the box, and it struck them on the hand clearly. Like that requires a proper look. And if you're gonna like look and slow everything down to the degree that you do, like how has that only been looked at for 10 seconds and they've gone, oh, actually no, it's not a penalty. Like it should be a lot longer. It's absolutely mad. And then
Yeah,
obviously they just come back and literally tell a lie about why they've not given it, saying that his arm was by his side. That is a lie from the Premier League.
yeah. I've got a little bit of a theory with it, as to why they wouldn't have given it. It's the fact that it's not. Was that ball going in when he handballs it?
But it doesn't matter, Dave, does it? Because
No. I'm just talking about that is why you'd see, when like it happens every Monday morning, probably when you're getting emails off our web and explaining these sorts of things. The only thing, if you're on their side, if you think about what they're considering is an excuse for that not being given as a penalty, is the fact that it comes off the bar that is not a goal scoring opportunity as such. So therefore,
You can't just use your hand though. Can't like I know what you're
no,
saying,
no,
but
that's where they say, or they would say, they'd refer to the fact that his arm, yes, it was in an unusual place, but then it's just the same as what you said there, going back to what you said with Onana. If you compare those two, that ball hasn't been hit at Robinson when it comes down and hits his arm. So therefore, they'd have an excuse to say, well, if he's not expecting that to happen, then his arm is in a natural place. I don't. That's all I'm thinking of in terms of what they'd actually come and say. That's some sort of shit like that. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. The thing that was most annoying, I agree with you, Matt, there was how long it took. It was almost like token gesture to say, "Oh, we have actually looked at it, lads, but we're going to carry on with the game anyway." That's how it felt, and like Les says there, you don't really want to dive into that word that seems to be on everybody's Twitter account now, and that's corruption. Don't want to get into that, but I think a lot of teams are fortunate they don't get as much of this happening. I won't go as far as saying they're preferred to others, but it's just we're on that other side of the coin where bad luck happens to us, but it's on such a consistent basis that you do start thinking, is this because we've been deducted the points? Is this because Everton an easy touch to go and do these things too? And it's annoying and it's tiresome, Matt, that we're repeatedly having to talk about this on most post matches.
yeah, really annoying. Just a few other bits before we wrap up. I don't really want to talk too much about Beto. Just it's too late, and yeah, I'm still annoyed about. I mean, the first miss annoyed me more than the second one, to be honest. But Jordan Pickford, Dave, it's unbelievable save that, wasn't it, from Tosin Adarabioyo in the second half. Made a couple of good ones in the first half as well, sort of ones you'd expect him to make. But when that left that lad's head, it's going towards the top corner. You're thinking that is going in, and
Yeah.
it's one of those, isn't it, where he sort of claws it from behind him and sticks it over the bar. And I think he's had a great few weeks, Pickford. He's maybe been a bit erratic and had think about the City game where he gave the ball to Bernardo Silva and we messed up like that. I think he's had a few little ropey moments, but you look at that tonight and he was really good all throughout the game. And you just hope maybe that little break out the team, Virginia coming in, has perhaps give him a little bit of a rejuvenation and he can kick on now towards the end of the season because it looks like we're going to need him again.
Oh, absolutely. And you see when those things happen, I think it happens with many players you've got who you need so many times. It's sort of like it goes a little bit lower, and you'd sort of think that, well, you just assume you'd have him out of your mind because he's such a consistent player. But you look at those moments like that was tonight there, being able to save that, to have the agility to claw it out when it's basically just about to cross the line. They're the moments that when anybody ever says to you, and I'd say anybody listening to this is not a blue, the moments you see him do those sorts of things like that are why he's the England number one. They're exactly why we value him so highly. There's a bit of a stigma around him. I don't know why, for every other club or whatnot, with fucking stupid dinosaur jokes and all that. But you look at what he's done tonight there. He's shown you why Everton are still where they are, in the positive fashion, of course. But how much that lad saved us, I think it goes unsaid quite a lot. And we're really lucky to have him when you see that moment happening, because we've lost. If that goes in, we've lost. And I'm not just saying that because of the chances that Beto missed and things like that, but you can see it go 1-0 down there with 20 minutes near to half an hour left. Our hard is, Fulham won't sit back, and we've got a lot. We're sort of blunt when we try to start going forward. That lad saved us a point there, effectively, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not the first time he's done it either, is it? He saved us on loads of occasions, and I don't get why people give him stick. I don't know if people say, he talks too much, he's a bit mad, he shouts at his defenders, he shouts at the team, he's a goalkeeper. That's what they do. And if you think about it, he's got to stand there for long periods of the match. Well, maybe not so much long periods of the match with Everton this season, but long periods of the match not doing much at all. And then he's got to make a save like that. He's just got to spring off his feet like that to make that save. And that's not just a keeper doing what a keeper should do. making shots you expect them to save. That's an outstanding save. It's as good as a goal, really,
Yeah.
for us. And it's like he just this club would have been relegated 3 seasons ago without him. 2 seasons ago without him. Be relegated this season without him. You can't underestimate how good he is, and I just don't get why people have an issue with him because he showed again tonight how, as you said, Dave, how vital he is to this team in the fact that he does stuff like that. Even the header that was like it was a bit of a sitter that was missed at the end by then, but he was just there and he just caught it straight away.
Yeah.
Didn't drop it, didn't bounce. He's got to make mistakes, but he feels like sometimes he's the only player who's not allowed to make a mistake in the team
Yeah,
because they
I think
all make
that's been.
mistakes
I
during the
think
game.
that's spot on. Mate. That's spot on. I think goalkeepers traditionally have had that sort of thing, haven't they? When a mistake happens from a keeper, it's automatically a goal. That's why everyone's flipping on them straight away.
Yeah.
It's just his hair that does my head in. I'd like him to not have that slick back Harry Kane sort of look. I just like him to go back to how he was when he looked like about 12 when he was in goal, if you remember that. But in all seriousness, the other side of that there defensively, I think he needs a lot of credit towards Ben Godfrey.
Yeah,
I
I was
thought
going to mention him. Yeah,
that looked like the best game he's had for us since we all raved about him a couple of seasons ago and thought he was going to be a world-class defender. Takes a lot of bollocks to do what he's done for us and getting back on the team. Sat on the sidelines for, say, 80-90% of his career in the last couple of seasons. To come on, do that again, somebody else who stopped them, scoring a certain goal when he slides back in and just about nicks it out for a corner.
so
He's done.
fast. Like he's
Oh,
really rapid, isn't he? Like because
yeah, I'd love
it was
to
very
see
similar
him.
to the Burnley one that where like
Yeah,
he just wasn't even in the frame. It's like, oh, there he is. Just
yeah, yeah,
he's there
yeah.
to stop it.
I'd love to see him have a foot race with Robinson and them because he's rapid as well. I'd love to see that. He's our former player as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Shouldn't let him go.
Yeah, top class left. But anyway, he was much and look, we never really used to credit him with defence. It was always what he could do in terms of, like you just said, like you rapidly just take the ball forward and put a cross in or whatever and create chances. That was like a conventional defensive performance there, and I don't know. I'd probably say he was up there with my man of the match of the game if I was asked.
There was also one thing as well where a cross came in and he made like a last ditch header, just looked over his shoulder. Now, I know he's a centre back, isn't he, really? But with a conventional right back like Coleman or Patterson, that's where the fullbacks can switch off sometimes and it drops over them and he got a nod in. He did really well to just look over his shoulder and get that header in. I'll throw anyone at right back. I've touted everyone for right back, but he could be the answer to the right back problem here.
I think like that position, like he was kind of in a back three tonight, wasn't he? Because like Young wasn't really a right winger, was he? He was like a second right back. But I think you look at him and like I don't think he's got the defensive awareness to play in a two. But I think if you're gonna play a three in the centre backs we've got, I think you'd have him in there 1 year ahead of Keane because you almost need, and I always say this about a back three. When you play a back three, you always need someone in there who's like half a fullback, and he is like half a fullback, isn't he? And he can do those bits that the wide centre back needs to do sometimes, where the wing back might get caught up, and you've got to turn around and run very quickly back towards your own goal, like he did against Burnley and like he did tonight. So, there's a lot of rumours about him going, isn't there, between now and the end of the window? But I think you look at that and you look at, we've got two right backs in Coleman and Young who are past the best, who are injury prone. One who he clearly doesn't fancy very much in passing. I wouldn't be letting him go
No,
between now and the end of the window, to be honest, especially after he's played well. Although apparently Atletico Madrid want him, so I mean, God knows all about that. That'll be a mad one. It seems very un-Simeone-like, doesn't he, as a defender?
I didn't even know Ashley Young was on the pitch. By the way, genuinely, you could not see Ashley Young all the way through that game.
I don't think he was anywhere near fit, was he? He's been out for a while. First game back.
How's he getting the game then?
What was that?
How's he getting the game?
Because we've got nobody. We've got nobody else, have we?
You just mentioned there though, Patterson's there. You put, Godfrey's there. There are other people, Dobbin as well.
Well,
You know,
I think he wanted someone who could sort of be a bit right wing, a bit right back, didn't he? But I mean, I don't know.
it's a conventional thing that Ashley Young's about. I know that's what he's about. That's what he did with his career. But do we play when we can help somebody like Ashley Young on that side? I just don't get it. It's a waste of a position, really. I don't want to hammer the lads, which I already have, but him getting in the first 11 there when you've got a kid like Dobbin there who looks like he's really kicking on, scored that goal the other week, looks like he's flying. I think that's the first time we've seen. Well, I think he got on from the bench against Spurs the other week. But if you're him and you've done that, the mentality of him is, you know what, I'm expecting to get some games now. I'm absolutely flying. You know, I can't wait to get on the pitch again. And then you've got Ashley Young getting back in, who, let's face it, I mean, I know he's been hammered since we've had him, but in terms of not hammering him, but just simply saying that he's not a player we need on the pitch there who's really going to affect anything going forward.
No, but yeah, I think the bigger thing for me about all that is, we haven't got time to do it now, is the what does that mean for Nathan Patterson long term? Because if you're not getting games at this point, when are you going to get games? But
Yeah, yeah.
listen, we will wrap it up there anyway. Eventful 0-0, loads of chances missed, loads of decisions missed by the referees. And we go again at Spurs on, well, we welcome Spurs on Saturday, lunchtime kick-off at
Welcome.
Goodison. We'll have loads building up to that game over the course of the next few days. Transfer deadline day as well on Thursday, which should be interesting. Who won't Everton be signing? But we'll sure we do some kind of show about that.
Just one
Um,
thing, Matt and Les, actually. Just want to thank everyone for voting for us. I
yeah,
know loads of people got back to us and said we've done it. So it's really appreciated. And we find out, I think, on Thursday night how we've done, but it doesn't matter anyway because the support we get is just magnificent and
yeah.
makes us feel worthy of the things that we do. So thanks to everyone that's joined and voted and listens and watches YouTube and slates us and messages me and says, "No, I look like Eamon Holmes." That's absolutely fine. You can just keep doing that sort of thing. I don't mind as long as you listen to us. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, God, yeah. That's the big thing to look forward to on Thursday. Anyway, not Everton essentially signing Jesse Lingard on a free or something. But yeah, if you watch us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you thought about the game. If you're listening to us on any of your podcast platforms, do leave us a rating, do leave us a review. All those things help. But cheers to Dave, cheers to Les. Up the toffees. We'll catch you again soon.